Let's go across to Glenn Carl, former National Intelligence Officer of the CIA, Dr. Meir Javedanfar. He is a Middle East analyst, Reichman University. Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain, former GOC 15 Corps of the Indian Army with us, and also Avi Melamed, author and Middle East strategic intelligence analyst. Namaste, gentlemen. Thank you very, very much for your time this evening. And let me start with this question. Dr. Meir, would you agree with the analysis by the Indian intelligence why the Hamas and the ISIS are the same? Or is there more to this?
But I think generally, that until today, we were under the impression in Israel that Hamas was an organization that was not just a jihadi organization, but it was also an organization that had changed from its early years of simply being a jihadi anti-Israel organization to a more mature organization who took calculated risks, who carefully calculated the loss versus benefits of its actions, who wanted to stabilize the economic situation in Gaza, who wanted to rule Gaza, to continue ruling Gaza by allowing the economy to develop rather than picking unnecessary. Why it seems that, according to various reports, the Israeli intelligence assessment was lulled into believing that an attack by Hamas is unlikely, an attack of the sort that we saw on the 7th of October. This was the general outlines. But now many people in Israel now see increasingly Hamas as more or less like Daesh. It's jihadi extremist. It's extremely. It doesn't take the risks. It doesn't take the consideration of its own. It doesn't take the welfare of its own population into consideration, and it carries out very, very viciously violent acts against civilians. So more and more, yes, Hamas is being viewed as a new Palestinian and more politically correct version of Daesh, especially among the leftist, populist leftists in Europe and the United States.
Mr. Avi Melamed, would you concur? Is it true that the Daesh cadre also found refuge or found place, a home in the Gaza Strip under the Hamas post-2006, 2007?
Yes, there has been a lot of reports about cooperation between Daesh that is based in Sinai and Hamas in Gaza Strip. I want to add something else to the discussion. Accurately, as you said, Hamas and ISIS, Hamas is to a large extent ISIS. Though there are different ideological aspects and so on, in the end of the day, let me explain why Hamas and ISIS in the end of the day is the same entity, or it's the same thing. Because they have two major things in common. One is the genocidal agenda. We have to emphasize that. It has to be clear. Hamas and ISIS have a genocidal agenda. You mentioned the stories of the Yazidis in the context of ISIS in Iraq, in Syria. It's the same with Hamas in the context of Israel and Jews in Israel. Here is something that is interesting to know. 2 years ago, in September 2021, Hamas held a conference in Gaza Strip. The conference was called in Arabic Wa'ad al-Akhirah, which means the promise of the end of days. This is a concept that is taken from Islam radical theology. And the conference dealt with the question, what to do with the state of Israel after it will be eliminated. The conference ended with a statement by Hamas, a call for actions or recommendation statement that has 20 articles. The articles explains exactly what is going to happen to the people of Israel. Let me quote Article 16 of this statement. Article 16 says that the Jews or the Israelis that will still be alive will be scientists and people that has any kind of value for Hamas. Now, you may wonder, like the viewers, what about the rest of the people? We got an answer for that on Saturday, October 7th. So this is one reason why Hamas is ISIS. The other reason why Hamas is ISIS They both have an apocalyptic vision of mankind. They basically want to create a huge entity, global entity called caliphate that should be governed according to the Islamic strict religious codex known by the name of Sharia law. The people that will live in this entity and will not be Muslims are doomed to live as slaves, female slaves, male slaves. They will have no human rights whatsoever. They will be inferior. So this is another common denominator between Hamas and Islamic Jihad. As my colleague Meir, Dr. Meir said very accurately, there was this kind of like PC presentation, politically correctness of Hamas trying to make cosmetics appearance, but we should have no mistakes about it. Hamas is similar to ISIS. It's ISIS twin.